Friends and enemies, welcome back to the mighty CBP, the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. My name is Joey. That is Len. Len, I don't know if you saw this, but a number of podcasters in the States, alternative right-wing voices, indicted over allegations that they've been taking big money from Russian oligarchs for sharing opinions like the U.S. is on the decline and the war in Ukraine is a bad idea. I know we have some sponsors, but have you been cashing any big checks on the side? Because I haven't seen any Russian money come in yet for holding those opinions and sharing them publicly.
Have you not seen my car? That should be an indication that clearly either I am not cashing them in or I'm doing a very good job at hiding the fact that I am cashing them in. The rust is growing.
How do we get that? How do we get the foreign investment into CBP?
Do we want to get the foreign investment? Because right now,
if it's five figures, I'll say anything for like 50 grand. So.
Well, the C could stand. Remember, we could be the Californian, we could be the Chicago, Colorado,
or the Compromat Bitcoiners podcast, right?
Compromised.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of different things we could do with the C, but currently, it's only Canadian. So no, we turn our back to Russian funds, Ukraine funds, any type of funds that are from outside that country. Screw you. We don't want it. We'll take it.
Len is speaking for himself only. Me, I want to put the fund back in funds. And so if you have $50,000 for us, let me know. And, if it's not too egregious, I'll say it on the air. But in the meantime, maybe before we start, you were in an NHL 94 tournament on the weekend. How did it go?
Well, I was good until maybe 3/4 of the way. I was doing a 500 and then the wheels fell off. Who is it that screwed me up? Calgary and Boston. Damn. Both times I played it, they just didn't do anything. Even Ray Bork, he passed him the puck and we were laughing at how bad it was. Yeah.
Is it random team selection, by the way? So when you say you were good for 3/4 of the way, like playing about 500 ball or about 500 puck, when you started to have trouble, was it just because the random teams got in the way, or like what's the deal with that? What happened?
Just the randomness hit me. So the teams how they're selected is, obviously two people approach the console. You rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to make the call. So I always, to be honest, I said, you know what, I'm going to pick rock all the time so you can beat me. So they did that because I really don't care what happens. So it's whoever wins the rock, paper, scissors calls the matchup, and the other person is going to be the home team and picks who they're going to be playing as. Nice. So I'll pick, say, Chicago, Detroit, and you'll say you want Detroit at home. Okay, you got Detroit at home. I'll be Chicago on the road.
Okay.
So when you call out two teams, you're obviously not going to want to call out two teams that are so far apart because you're going to pick the team that's much, much better. So you're trying to pick two teams that are kind of close, like a Vancouver or Buffalo or something like that. Right. So then it's tough to pick who you I don't know.
So does anyone ever pick like two real dud teams?
I did that.
I
did Anaheim and Ottawa.
Okay.
It was such a funny game, Anaheim and Ottawa, because they're probably two of the worst teams in the game. And I'm familiar with both of them, to be honest, because I played quite a bit of them recently, and it was just, I don't know, it's a different way to play.
Well, I'm sorry to hear you didn't win. Anyways,
we were all winners, brother. It was Championship of the Universe, by the way, the NHL '94 Championship of the Universe, the first ever. And CRTs were there. People were coming to look at it. People were yelling. It's good.
I love it.
Stuff.
I love it.
And you know what? Right next door to the place was a Value Village.
Yes.
Went in there. There was an NHL 94 cartridge.
Nice.
Did
you grab it? Did you take it?
No, it was an SNES number one. And number two is like two halves put together. If you look at the way it was like some Frankenstein version. So who knows if it was even working.
Value Village still selling it for $10 probably.
$7.99 or something.
God, and it's such a ripoff. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. End of summer here coming up, but just the beginning of tonight's show. We got the sponsors as always up front. Easy DNS, okay. Len, what do they have? They have DNS, they have hosting, they have other web services, they have easy email hosting, they have WordPress and other custom stuff for your website. Whenever you want to start a website or start a business or start a blog, you need a website. How are people going to find you? You need some landing page for them to go to. We have one, CanadianBitcoiners.com, the sparsely used, though often referenced website for the podcast. We do it through Mark and Easy DNS. Why? It's simple, it's cheap, it's effective, it's extremely secure. Okay, Mark noting here on his website that everything is easy, fast, and secure. But also, Len, I went to the Easy DNS website today because I wanted to look for some new material for the read. Did you know that Mark offers a 100% refund if you don't like any of the services you sign up for. No conditions, no fine print. I didn't know that.
So what do you have to lose? Not only are you getting 50% off your initial purchase if you use our promo code CBP Media.
Off, he'll give you 100% back. You said you make money off this guy if you just cancel if you don't like it. Where else do you get this kind of deal? Only on CBP. That's it.
Yeah. Set up your email server, set up your web server, a lot of different
virtual private server stuff. You got tons of stuff going on over there. But if you don't like it for whatever reason, just get your money back. You got nothing to lose. Try them out. CBP Media is the code. Mark is always in the chat, always available to help, and has been very, very instrumental in developing our website. Len, we had a guest cancel this week, so I might have to ask Mark if he wants to hop on short notice. We'll talk about that next housekeeping, but you might hear from Mark sooner than you know it. Who's the second sponsor?
Bull Bitcoin. And the price of Bitcoin, I just saw it behind me a few moments ago actually, and it's gone up from what I have been hearing in the chat, because there's a chat we're a part of and we're getting some updates about the price of Bitcoin is going a little bit nuts lately. What's going on? I don't know. It goes where it goes, but certainly you have an opportunity to buy Bitcoin with Bull Bitcoin, and you can do the same with selling through Bull Bitcoin. So you have a couple of different options over there. So hopefully people have been stacking away, or if they're selling, it's your choice as well. But you could do it on-chain. You could do it with Lightning. I checked again last night. On-chain fees are still very, very cheap. So continually buy on-chain is my opinion, because they're still so darn cheap. But if ever they do go high, it does periodically, and eventually they will stay high. You have the option to buy and sell with Lightning with Bull Bitcoin. So you don't have to always be subjected to those high fees when the fees are high. Also, you could buy gift cards over there. So you could spend your Bitcoin to buy gift cards. You could spend that in the real world. So you could go to Home Depot, for instance, say you have a leaky faucet and you want to replace it or repair it. Well, you could do that with your Bitcoin by buying these gift cards and go to Home Depot. Or you could pay your bills. You could start spending your Bitcoin to pay bills through Bull Bitcoin. So you could pay your mortgage payment, whatever the heck you have to pay. There's so many different options you could do over there. But check them out, because they're not custodial. This is what you want from an exchange. We'll be talking about that a little bit. Use our promo code. If you do, $21 is going to be added to your account, as long as you provide the necessary information.
You love to see it. And then our third sponsor, Decentral Tech. Len, it's almost time for the CBP branded bid axes. Is the pre-order open? Do we know?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Not yet. But it will be soon.
Should be soon, quote unquote. Soon.
This is going to be an incredible moment in CBP history, because Jonathan and the team have agreed to allow us the privilege of being branded on our own bid axe machines, which have been leaked in the CBP Discord. So if you haven't taken a look in the Discord in a while, now's the time. So these guys have been open, Len, almost 10 years, since 2016. The best in silo in terms of mining for the pleb. Everything you need all in one place. Whether you want to do some mining to try and actually make some money, rack a few of these bad boys in your garage, or you want to throw something in your house that your wife won't be mad at you over, take half your assets due to, among other things. Give yourself any marital problems with this giant machine humming and screeching away, mining the hardest money around. These guys got your back. They do some hosting stuff. It's not their bread and butter. The bread and butter is getting you on the network as a hasher at whatever capacity you want. Jonathan and the team doing a great job over there. I would tell you to use our promo code, but we don't have one. Why? Because our sponsors want to support us the same way we want to support them. It's not a, scratch our back, our scratch yours relationship. I'll scratch yours relationship necessarily. So go over and support them. I know a bunch of you guys have bought the miners already. And if you're looking for another miner, like we are going to have shortly here in the CBP studio, then now's the time. Go over, tell them we sent you if they ask. But we want to make sure these guys are getting as much of their product on the market as possible. Why? One, because we like the company, of course. But two, Len, we got decentralized, man. Miners have too much power. The industrial miners have too much power. We got to take back the power, okay? We have to rage against the machine, as a wise man once said. And
one bid axe at a time.
That's right. One bid axe at a time, okay? One bid axe at a time, we can chop down the mightiest of oaks. So we're going to be doing that vis-a-vis the CBP. Head over, buy some stuff, buy some shirts, buy some miners. You guys know what to do. Great company, and we hope you'll support them. What do you want to do next? Some boosts, maybe?
Yeah.
Or you want to do the housekeeping? Up to you.
Quick boosts, because Lightning Mick, 210 sats. Thank you, Lightning Mick. Boosted on Fountain. Cheers. Cheers to you, buddy.
Cheers, Mick.
Wartime, 333 sats. He does two things, two emojis, a fire emoji and a beer mugs.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Got it. God bless you. Thank you.
Relic, 500 sats. Gold as usual. Absolutely.
Bitcoin as usual.
Bon, 1,337 sats. Getting prescribed meds because they want to play Xbox instead of learning long division. And he puts the happy face there.
That was a good line. I put that in a short too. That's good. So we got the 1,337, the leet sats, right? That's leet speak, I think. Pretty sure.
I think it is, yeah.
Nice.
And Sir Snacks a lot, leading the league here, 2,100 sats. It's hard to go to any restaurant in Hamilton and not come face to face with Joey's undesirables and the effects that they had on a dining experience. And the same can be said for many cities in Canada. Tell us how Bitcoin could help fix this.
Man, I think, over time it can, but I'll tell you, I was driving through Westdale, maybe not Westdale. It's like the bridge, the Main Street area there, going from Dundas into the Crunch Fitness where I work out. I'll dox myself a little bit there. A couple of you guys have recognized me at that gym already, so I'm sure you realize where I work out. But and Len, there was a young couple with their child eating dinner on the patio of what I think is an Eastside Mario's. Used to be a Finn McCool's, but it's an Eastside Mario's now. And a guy pushing a buggy was talking to him through the glass wall, and they didn't want anything to do with the guy. But what can you do? These people are everywhere now, and they're proliferating. Maybe we'll talk about that today. At least this guy wasn't eating, pigeons or ducks. But some places in the States are experiencing that at the moment. So we got to be vigilant. All you can do is protect your family vis-a-vis wealth preservation. Make sure that when push comes to shove, you're in a position to GTFO. That's what I would say. Hey, that's the way Bitcoin fixes this, at least in the short term.
I agree. There's nothing we can do. Nothing Bitcoin can do to fix
No, nothing at all. So housekeeping before we start. Mike Campbell, if you listen to Money Talks, you'll know this already. Mike Campbell had a fall last week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so he needed some surgery on his elbow and wrist, and he's pretty dinged up. So his people got a hold of me today, and just as I was about to email them, because I wanted to make sure we were still good for tomorrow. Mike is, he's a trooper, but I wouldn't want to get on camera if I've been dinged up like that. So, naturally I said, let's reschedule for October. And Mike wants to pass his apologies to us, Len, and to our listeners, because I tell Mike all the time, I think there's a huge amount of overlap between the number of people who listen to our show and the people who listen to Money Talks. So he's offered his apologies for not being able to make it, and we'll try and get him on again in October is the plan. Now, in the meantime, we have a guest spot to fill. So I've reached out to a few people. We'll see if we get anyone on. If you, listener, viewer, have any ideas, send me a tweet, mention me, mention the potential guest. I'm flexible this week. I don't have football, so we can record tomorrow. We can record Wednesday. We can record Thursday. I could even do Friday right after work at like 4 if that was something the guests wanted to do. But we got to put out a second show this week somehow. Unless you want to hear me and Len just romancing each other on air for half an hour, give me some ideas. We are on we're in a bit of a crunch here as far as time and scheduling. So if you have any ideas, let us know. And yeah, Mike, of course, no hard feelings between us and him. He's one of my favorite guests. I love being on his show, and we're looking forward to talking to him. We'll be talking to him closer to both the American and Canadian election come October anyways. We don't know exactly how much closer to a Canadian election, but we will know exactly how much closer to an American election. And so the longer we wait for the interview, the more stuff will be in the hopper, which is good for everybody. So yeah, looking forward to that, even though this is a delay.
I have nothing to add. Hopefully he heals quickly and heals well. Those wrists, you break a wrist. Yeah, you have to go under the knife. Get some of the pins and crap
exactly.
Like
pin it, reset it, and wait a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, it's not fun, but yeah, I don't know if you want anything else you want to chop off.
I don't think so. No, let's hit the ground running here. 14 minutes is about the right time. We usually come down between 14 and 16 on the intro side. So let's do it. Where do you want to start?
Okay, we'll be very quick story to start off with, because I know Jonathan from Decentral was talking about offering something like this in the near future. I don't know if they offer it just yet, but some guy the name of Printer Gober on Twitter. Love that name, by the way. That's a fantastic name. On X, this guy was showing off some interesting hardware that he has been designing, and the first ever device that he's created. It's a small device that functions as a Bitcoin node and a miner that's using an integrated BitX Supra. So it's all-in-one solution. So it's mining and also it's verifying at the same time. He says that he could get this to run at 28 Celsius or around 82 Fahrenheit if you're using those measurements for temperature. So that's rather cool. And rather what he's using here in terms of a node, he doesn't mention it, but somebody was talking to him and he has mentioned Start9 as a potential option. But I think the user can have just about anything. I'm assuming here that they could put Core, they could put Knots, they could put Start9, they could put a whole bunch of different flavors. But these type of all-in-one units, they're rather cool. It's if you're talking about it being a sovereign Bitcoiner as a way to verify your transactions, as a way to mine, and you could use the public pool as a solo pool. There's so many different options here. I like this really cool device. So, I mean, I don't have anything else to share. I'm hoping that soon we get something like this from Jonathan to offer a decentral, because I think that a lot of people would like this. Imagine getting something like this, something small, something lightweight, but it gives you functionality to do so many different things. I'd love to see this, and I like the fact that he's done this guy, Printer Gober.
Does this guy want to come on the show this week? Is he free?
I don't know. Show it off. But it's a matter of, like, could you imagine you had a device like this that, you can point at, it's mining. It's not only that, it's verifying the transactions. Those are the things that I like to see, where people could do stuff like this with very little hardware. It's not like you have to go and buy a $1,200 laptop and shit like that. It's modest hardware could do stuff like this. Let's be honest, the BitX Supra, aside from the chip itself that is taking it from one of the ant miners, it's not all that powerful. So it's just utilizing the chip to do the majority of the work. And to run a node, I'll just leave it out here. My laptop is some 14 years old, and it runs perfect to run a full node. And it's also a lightning node as well. Doesn't suffer from being too slow or anything. It just does its thing. So I like projects like this, and I think there's going to be a lot more of this moving forward, especially as people want to become more sovereign Bitcoiners, and also as a way to take away the hash rate, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, from the big miners, and make this more decentralized so everybody can potentially do their own thing. So that's a cool project.
I think so too. Easy sell to people who are running a node or mining separately, right? And I think there's more of those than ever before. Is it fair to say that there will be a market for these things? What's the best way to put this? Does running a node or mining put more of a kind of target on you as a private citizen in 5 years? What is the thing that the state is more concerned about? That's the only thing I can think about that might be a negative, right? Maybe you just want to do one or the other, because the other of the two is more contentious with the powers that be. Thoughts on that?
What if you run it through a VPN or Tor?
VPNs are easy to spot. Like, I know people like VPNs as a privacy tool, but they're easy to spot. When you're the only person using it, they're easy to spot. And so unless everyone starts using it, then it's
somebody using a VPN, but what's being run on a VPN. Because that data is encrypted from yourself to the. So
I view this a lot like Tor. Like Tor, it's hard to know what you're using when you're using Tor. But the fact is, if you're using it, it's obvious you're using it, and you're only going to be using it. This is, like, of course, what the government would say. You're only using it if you want to mask the packets that you're sending and receiving, which is enough for them, right? At some point, I think.
As more people use it, and hopefully they are,
it should proliferate. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and my node does it. It's running Tor as a service, so I would hope more people do the same, and it just creates a much more bigger challenge for them to figure out what's going on. I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal if you're running a node or if you're mining from home. It's not going to put a target on your back. The only thing I would suggest, though, if you're going to start spending it, because again, my face is here. I can't start telling people, if you're going to spend Bitcoin, make sure you look at what the laws of the country you reside in, because if you do something against that, CRA, IRS, whoever, they come after you, it's not going to be pretty.
CRA and IRS are on your front door. They're on your front door right away.
It won't be pretty. So
I know.
that's
I
all I
agree.
gotta say is make sure you do whatever you can to follow the letter of the law, because if you don't, good luck.
On
So
that, we were in agreement, sir, for sure.
let's go to the Bitcoin hash rate.
Yeah.
Not sure if you're following this. This continues to climb. And as of yesterday, the price of Bitcoin was taking a dip, but still the hash rate went up.
You said it
And
recovered. What is it? What is it recovered to?
the price of Bitcoin?
Yeah. Oh,
I heard it
above
was close to
57.
58.
58 looming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Wasn't it you that said it in that chat we're in, or is it
I
somebody?
noticed it earlier today, but there's been a lot of like I'm always on Twitter during the show because like that's where I keep the show bookmarks, and there's a lot of people talking about the price, but I don't usually bring up TradingView because it's kind of bright anyway. Different topic altogether, but yeah, I mean the rebound has been nice. Sorry, continue though. Hash rate, very
Well,
important.
I'm not even sure what's causing this price action, to be honest. I don't know. But either way, according to my node, as of yesterday, the block height is at all-time high. Yeah. So it was over 700 exahash per second. And I don't know if things have changed since yesterday. And that was an estimate as per my node. It's not a true snapshot of what's going on. But nonetheless, the hash rate is continuing to go up. That's an indication that there's more equipment that's being plugged in and it's hashing away. So this is a bullish metric for some because, let's be honest, this goes there's a lot more interest. But for Bitcoin miners, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because there's more competition to mine the next block, to build the next block. So I'm wondering then how many pure Bitcoin miners out there that are going to be actively looking for new sources of revenue, such as AI or anything else. Is more hash rate is going to make less profit for them. And another thing to remember Marathon too. They bought Bitcoin recently. There's the hash rate. Look at that thing.
If you're on YouTube, we just put the hash rate chart up here.
And remember Marathon, they bought some Bitcoin, actually a lot of Bitcoin not too long ago. I think they're underwater with their purchase. They bought around $100 million worth of Bitcoin back in July. And they took on debt to buy an asset that is probably maybe worth less yesterday for sure. Maybe not today. But when they bought it, that's a lot of money they spent on Bitcoin. And I'm expecting, something to happen to these miners. Like if they're continually blowing a lot of money to buy Bitcoin and mine Bitcoin, as the hash rate continues to rise, this is a cutthroat business, and there's going to be a lot of collateral damage moving forward. And we've seen already some consolidation in this space. It's only going to get worse as this shit clears up.
Where do you come down on this thesis that I have? I actually almost started writing an article on the website on Sunday, and I still might do it. I still want to get into that habit. I don't know how long it's going to take me before I get into a semi-regular writing habit, but do you think it's possible that AI is going to be used as a weapon against Bitcoin at some point? You mentioned it there. The miners have all the hash rate. The industrial miners have all the hash rate. They are beholden to the shareholders, ethically, legally, you name it. And if AI becomes the thing that's more productive in terms of the bottom line, they will move hardware, firepower, and energy resources to that application. And it's a little easier to stomach. Maybe not easier to stomach, but actually, I do think it is more palatable, I think, for the miners if they're told by their shareholders directly or indirectly, we want to see more AI applications here, and told by their board, we want to see more AI applications. How many board seats would you need for nefarious actors across the mining sector to really take a gash out of the hash rate and, as such, the network security of Bitcoin this way? Through this vector. It seems to me like it may be an attack vector at some point. I'm not saying necessarily that it is now, but I think as we move along here, Len, this is going to be a really easy way to pull security away from the network and make it less attractive to investors, less attractive to governments, less attractive to everyone, and maybe open the door to the first, attempted attack that you could soft sell to the normie as the Bitcoin security model has failed. Right? It seems to me like this is becoming a more real threat by the day as the hash rate goes up. Now, the other side of that proposal, the other side of that thesis is that if hash rate does drop significantly, it'll come online somewhere else. That could be true as well, but it's got to come on somewhere where there's cheap energy, because even if the hash rate drops by 50%, the energy cost requirements don't materially change to allow for smaller, less efficient players to hop on. You know what I mean? There's a line there somewhere. like a sort of a supply demand line, for lack of a better term. I only took first year economics in university, so I can't go further than that. But like it's somewhere in there. And I think it's a threat that not enough people are talking about. Instead, actually, what I see is Bitcoiners talking about AI, and AI payments are going to be driven by Bitcoin, which I think is like, maybe, but you're kind of embracing this thing that might eventually give us a bit of a hard time. Your thoughts?
Well, let's play it out. Say, half half of everything that's mining out there decides, I'm going to turn this shit off and use my energy for something else, and like AI, for instance. So then we'll bring us back to what, 350 exahash per second, give or take. Where are we in the timeline? It's near the end of last year, right? Yeah. So like, is it, or somewhere in the middle of last year? So is it really like that big a deal? Is the network that impacted? Is it that insecure at that point? No. You're still going to have a crapload of equipment that is still out there hashing away. And you're not going to be able to attract all of them to doing something with AI, because we talk about oil and gas. They're not going to set up data centers out there that's going to have high-speed internet and everything for.
They're starting in Japan. They're like, Japan's already doing it, right? Like they're the biggest electricity company, just started mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, but let's talk about like in Oman, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia. Like
for now. Yeah.
Well, it's just so much easier to just bring in one of those trailers that have everything hooked up, like all the equipment hooked.
Yeah, hash huts.
And just do that, and then away you go, rather than
Steve Barber dressing as Sheikh Roberto going overseas to the UAE to deploy hash huts is on my 2030 Bitcoin bingo card.
Might happen. Sheikh Roberto is shilling NFTs not too long
ago. I heard.
So.
I know.
So I don't think it's really a big thing, the whole shift to AI. I don't think it's going to impact things. So like even cutting hash rate in half, it's still extraordinarily high.
It is for sure. There's no doubt.
We've really got to take a massive cut. Like you have to take a 90% drop in the hash rate, and not to say it will never happen. Anything is possible, but I don't think that's a likely outcome. So I really, if these companies are going to start to try to invest in AI, that's good for them. I hope it works out. But then it's also going to create some dilution in that industry as well, in that field, and that's going to cut down costs as well. So eventually, you're going to find the market is going to find the floor in that, and Bitcoin mining is going to have.
It's possible. Okay, it's possible that it finds a floor, but aren't you worried that you will see manipulation through subsidy or through added government red tape for certain industries? I mean, we've already seen it in Bitcoin. And I think that I would guess, Len, honestly, behind closed doors, that some of the AI companies that want preferential treatment are saying, look, they're either going to use it for Bitcoin mining or they're going to use it for this. We're the lesser of two evils. Make it hard for Bitcoin mining to be the thing. I think that's happening already, if I had to guess.
Let them do it. And it just makes offshore Bitcoin miners or people like us running Bitcoin.
I don't want to rely on offshore Bitcoin miners. Like this.
But we're going to have to rely on offshore.
These other governments, like it's the devil I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go down that road with mining.
But really, you're always going to have it. It's just the nature of the beast. And it's going to flow to the cheapest place where energy is produced. And it's not always here in North America. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of equipment, a lot of ASICs that are being plugged in the Middle East, just because it's the ability to monetize all that wasted energy. So we don't like it or we like it. That's just the reality of it. This is the way things are. Eventually, we'll saturate that market, but what the fuck are you going to do?
I don't know, honestly.
Right? If you
show like NFTs, I don't know. We'll move to the Canadian NFT podcast and not worry about mining.
Is Trump doing any new NFTs this week?
Oh my God, what a disaster. This is why you don't like make your whole personality a political candidate. It's like, it's too bad because the guy is clearly the better of the two candidates, but just with the pro Bitcoin ethos comes the pro crypto ethos and the pro NFT garbage. And he's catering to all these people who want to,
well, he's done this in the past. It's not like this is his first time.
This is his MO. This is his MO. I mean, some stuff is funny when you're like talking about the Trump gold sneakers. Remember that from 2020? Like that was great. I should have bought a pair of those. They're probably worth 10 times what they were at the time of sale. But this other stuff, the consequences is real. Anyway, we can talk about that another time.
No, let's talk about it now. It's actually
sure.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was praising Donald Trump talking about
the platform. The Bitcoin platform is still solid. Like it is the strategic reserve, the making sure the mining is done in America, supporting the companies that are mining. He seems to have people around whom understand the value of a non-state money as even as just a store of value, not necessarily competing with the USD. Sailor, for all the negatives I have to say about Mike, to his credit, is always careful to say that Bitcoin is not competing with the US dollar, even if we all understand that it is, because it becomes politically unpalatable to say something like that on the campaign trail. Even Kamala Sutra could attack Trump for that, regardless of her other shortcomings. So yeah, I get that it's not ideal, but like if you still want the pro Bitcoin candidate, you got to vote for the NFT guy. Like it's like a hold your nose and get it done type situation, is it not?
I guess
if you're a single issue voter, and it's Bitcoin, let's say you had $100 million in Bitcoin in cold storage. Okay.
All right.
You're one of these guys who was in there in 2011, 2012. You're a liberal otherwise, right? Let's say you voted for Obama twice. You would have voted for him 3 times, as the guy in that movie Get Out says. And Harris is telling you that she doesn't want Bitcoin to succeed, but shares every other policy position that you appreciate. And Trump maybe shares only some portion of the policy positions you appreciate, but is 100% going to make sure your Bitcoin can't be confiscated by Liz Warren and her goons, right? What did he say? Something like that. How do you vote for the other party? That's your whole nest egg. That's like your lineage is royalty, or your lineage is in a tent at that point. And not everyone's 100 million, but even at like $1 million worth of Bitcoin, you're probably still voting for that guy, right?
I guess so. If you're in that situation where you have a large stack of Bitcoin, and certainly if you see one candidate talking more favorably of Bitcoin than the other.
My stack is not even that big, okay? Me and you have been in it for about the same amount of time. Like we don't have to talk about how much we have, but I'm still at this point like close to a single issue voter. Pretty close, a couple of things are near and dear to me, like addictions. Obviously, you guys have heard me talk about that a bunch. Education is near and dear to me as well. Maybe a handful of other things, but I can do all that other stuff for my family on my own if the Bitcoin is protected. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like that's kind of where I come down these days. And as the price goes up, I think the problem that the government's going to have is more and more people are going to become single issue voters, because nothing is as important as preserving the moonshot that you got right, especially as the likelihood that you catch another moonshot, either real estate, equities, whatever, diminishes to basically zero.
So really, in my opinion, there has not been one candidate, like one of these major candidates, that come forth with a strong Bitcoin message. I know we have Trump saying this, but the real thing that we want to look at, this is the ultimate in terms of what you want to see with Bitcoin, is the removal of the capital gains tax when you start spending it. Until that's done, every other thing is kind of, it's nice, it's a good to have, but
the capital gains tax is one thing, but
that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing.
I think there are bigger things.
Could you imagine if the elimination of that and everything else being like nothing's changed? Oh my God. Then you essentially give it the rubber stamp. Yeah, you could use it as a currency. And how much? Think of how much it would be.
I know, but I actually don't think that's ever going to change. Personally.
I don't think so, and that's why I'm trying to say that.
That's not where I want to plant my flag. Then, right? I'd rather plant my flag on something like, for example, having to report your buys to the CRA every year. Like that's like, to me, that's a single issue I would vote. That's a fulcrum I would vote.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
Because I know I'm not going to get that one, but I can get this one. They've shown me this part of the platform. I don't want that. I'm going to vote against it.
Yeah, that's fair. And having them do that, forcing you to disclose to the tax office every time you make a buy, that's obviously trending in as a Bitcoiner in the wrong direction.
Yes,
something you don't want. So pick whatever works for you. That's what we're gonna have options. At least in the United States, there's options this year, and likely in Canada next year. And do what you want. You have the ability to vote. If you like to vote, go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
people have died for that.
Yeah, 100%. Man, you should be voting regardless of whether or not your vote is counted, or maybe counted twice. So go to the ballot box. Anyway, what else you got?
Do you ever hear this saying, does it run doom? You must have heard it, right?
Of course. That's a good, I don't stop for many things on the Twitter algo, but I always stop for something running doom. Like a Tamagotchi running doom, sign me up.
I don't know what a Tamagotchi is.
That's from when I was a kid. It's like this little thing you used to carry around in your pocket, keep alive.
Is that like a nano baby or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those who are unaware about this meme, it's the Doom source code. This was released back in Linux in 1997, and eventually was open sourced about 2 years later. So it's been in the wild for over 2 decades. And since then, the saying "does it run Doom" has taken a new life because people have been taking Doom and trying to run it on some crazy devices, including things like pregnancy tests. That's pretty cool.
What kind of pregnancy test runs Doom?
I've seen the video.
Stop. I gotta pull that up. That's a banger if that's true.
ATMs, people have been able to get into ATMs and have them run Doom.
Oh my God,
and also
it's the first search result, Len. You gotta be kidding me.
So yeah, running Doom. This is a very old program. It's over 30 years old. It was like came out 1994, I'm guessing. But either way, yeah, man, you can run in just about everything, and even fucking Google search engine. Somebody was able to manipulate the search engine result to run Doom. Like this is some very creative people. Anyways, this past week we got the first taste, I believe, of an ASIC that's running Doom, and this is released by Brains.
Love it.
And this is the Brains mini miner, the BMM 101. This is a pre-order for people that want to get one of these things. It's available, I think, December of 2024. It includes an LCD and with that is showing off it's running Doom. So really cool. I would imagine somebody running a nerd miner may look at this and say, "Hey, we could do the same thing with a nerd miner. We could run Doom on it." Is it practical for the hardware to run Doom? No, but to me, it's still interesting nonetheless. It sounds like you have an interest in this stuff too. So
I love it. Have you seen the one? Have you seen the one of the guy in Minecraft built like a farm of on-off switches that run Doom on like a screen in the game?
That's
insane. Absolutely insane. Some of the stuff you can do in that game. Like I have never played Minecraft, and the reason I haven't played it is like the same reason I don't do coke at parties, because I know if I start, I'll never stop. And like this, so
you have a little one on the
way. That game looks nuts. You think, yeah, maybe I'll get my little one into Minecraft. Actually, all little ones do. Yeah, my neighbor. So a little story here about Minecraft. I bought an Xbox last year because I wanted to play Starfield. The game sucks. And so I ended up giving the Xbox away to my neighbor because they gave us a lot of baby stuff a few months back. And the kid has this like super high firepower, whatever that, what is the top of the line Xbox, the Series X or whatever?
The Series 1,
whatever it is. It's like the best. It's like the best one out there right now. I gave it to him.
Shitty naming, by the way, for Xbox. It's terrible naming.
I know. They should just wrap up that whole arm of the company, honestly. But whatever. All the kid plays is Minecraft.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was like, I knew it was big, but I didn't realize that literally every kid, if you give them like a system, like that's the first thing they want to play. And I guess you can just like talk to your buddies while you play, the same way that I might talk to my friends while I play Madden or whatever. Kind of neat. Anyway, you can run Doom on a lot of stuff. That Minecraft one was a mind-numbing one for me. I'm looking at this pregnancy test one. The guy had to swap out the OLED, but it is running Doom on a pregnancy test, which is pretty weird.
Fucked up.
Yeah, pretty weird. Babe,
honey, sorry, you're not pregnant.
Did we conceive? Did we conceive? I don't know. I gotta blow up this barrel to kill this fiery red orb coming toward me.
So this past week we had a couple of fake data breaches that were reported, and I'm just gonna clump these two into one story. So number one, we had something called a breach data notice, and this was sent out to some of Swan Bitcoin's marketing email recipients. And this is according to Corey, and he theorizes this is from what he says on Twitter to be from 2022 Clavio.
We reported this hack. We reported on this. Remember?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what he believes that it comes from. So either way, anybody who got these emails was saying there's a security breach, and there was several wallets that were compromised as well as some servers. And it's instructed users to download the Trust Wallet. And in the email, it provided the keys in which you have to enter into Trust Wallet. And once you enter it, you import the wallet that they provided you. And then you log on to Swan and send the Bitcoin to the Trust Wallet that you just imported with the keys they provided. So essentially, they were asking you to log on to Swan and send them your Bitcoin. So assuming anything was if anything would be moved on there, it would be moved out immediately thereafter. But anyways, there was a second data breach that came from Gemini. It looks like it came from Gemini. And it's not like Gemini had enough problems to date, but they now have this one to deal with. And this one was being reported by Jameson Lopp. Yeah. And essentially people are being sent out emails to either Gemini customers or former customers, and they're using the exact same tactics as they were using for the Swan folks over there. The email looks the exact same, so telling people to log in, set up a new trust wallet. Here's the key, send it there. So, anyways, same people are behind it. It looks like people are getting through these lists of names of emails and just emailing them, trying to cast a large net and see if you get anything. Hopefully nobody has gotten any of these emails. And if you did, hopefully you just press the delete button, because obviously it doesn't make any sense to send Bitcoin. So yeah, I'm sure everybody out there is aware there's a lot of these emails and attempts for hacks and so forth trying to get to your Bitcoin. Just be vigilant out there, because if not, well, there's no way to get your Bitcoin once it's sent.
You should just never be entering any information into a browser or wallet that an email tells you to spin up. Like Swan has its shortcomings. We talked about them, but this is a bit more than just starting up a less than successful podcast arm and Spaces arm. Anything that tells you to spin up a trust wallet on behalf of any exchange is not good information. Like you said, it sounds like it's done by the same perpetrator here, which sucks, because I don't know what a company like Swan or Gemini is supposed to do in terms of like an email list. Like, yeah, you have to use probably a third party to do this kind of stuff. And so you're at the mercy of the third party. We actually talk about this a lot on Axis of Easy, how the average person, even if they take every precaution, the hospital or the bank or the Bitcoin exchange, whatever, uses a third party to help make things easier, whether it's contacting you or storing your information or indexing certain things to make your life as the customer easier. They're relying on that third party for security. And what do we say about third parties, Len?
It's just a honeypot, those third
They're
parties.
security holes. Yeah. Third parties are security holes. Like that's, that is the way of the world. And so as much as I give these companies shit an awful lot, not much they could do about this, which sucks, and it sucks even more than that's happening 2 years later. So it might not be fresh in the minds of a lot of people, right? Bitcoin Twitter was buzzing when this hack happened a few years ago, and I haven't seen anything about it since. And so these guys presumably sat on the data, sat on the addresses, and now are using them to try and, sneak some Bitcoin out of the wallets of an unsuspecting public. Too bad, really is too bad. But be vigilant. What can you say besides that?
Nothing else, right? We're Bitcoiners, and hopefully you're aware of all this scams.
I don't trust anybody. I don't even trust Len. Yeah.
I'm just AI. Right. I'm just running at some server farm that's run by Hut 8 or something.
That's right.
Another scam out there. FBI came out this past week and they're reporting that North Korean hackers are at it again. And this time they upped the ante because they're going after what's being stored in the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm not sure exactly how, but they're trying to get information here. But they're saying one of the methods they use is potentially trying to use impersonation tactics. I'm not sure if that's usually trying to get individual people to sacrifice their Bitcoin rather than the ETFs. Either way, the FBI is raising alarm bells that there is potential attack or attempts of attacks to try to get the Bitcoin over there. So more than anything, it goes to show you that the honeypot, which is these Bitcoin ETFs, and it's caught right now the attention of hackers out there. I'm not sure what sort of recourse, if there ever is an attack, a successful hack, and Bitcoin is drained. I would assume there's some insurance that's applied here. But the problem is, look, if you're going to be insured and you're going to get your money back, I think there's going to be delays, and you're only going to get the price of the Bitcoin.
There's no insurance. There's no insurance.
You don't think there's any insurance? Like
there is, but what you're describing is the only insurance you're going to get. It's just subpar.
Right.
It's subpar. Yeah.
And that's what they're legally obligated, I guess, to do. And
yeah.
It is sad to see that. This is just the reality of it. But if there's going to be hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin that's associated with one particular ETF or multiple ETFs, why wouldn't there be an attempt to hack it? And there's going to be an increased amount.
This is the preface for the BlackRock fork, is it not?
It's potential. Like if you
it's
read
an
the wording,
interesting thought exercise. Yeah.
Right. Well, talked about before on this show, and obviously, another reason why of the laundry list of things why I certainly don't like it, and maybe you don't like it as well. But I understand the tax efficiencies with using them. I understand the ease of use of getting in and out for using them, but there are some negatives, a lot of negatives that go along with it.
And more by the day. You're talking about a pretty big one here. So.
Yeah, the FBI is learning, and it's not to say that it's going to be attacked and a successful attack is imminent. But every day that passes, you're rolling the dice, and maybe the odds might be so fucking high that you'll never be able to roll the dice that it's going to be an attack that's successful. But you do it over a long enough period of time, eventually. So Coinbase and whoever else is being the custodian of this Bitcoin, they got to be on their fucking toes and make sure they have everything done right. Multi-sig and all this bullshit to make sure that if there ever is a breach, they're still able to protect it. I don't know what they're going to be able to do, but hopefully they know best. But man, you're trusting them to know best and to do the best.
They're the best company to hold the Bitcoin. They're not going to be as diligent as you might be. But Len, lest we forget, a couple of years ago, Armstrong put out the anti-DEI, anti-politics, bulletin for his company. If you want to do that shit, get the fuck out, do it somewhere else. Here at Coinbase, we're going to be mission focused. So I like that. I'm reminded of that when I listen to Armstrong talk. So for all his downsides, he at least got that together. So at least you don't have someone who didn't get their job without a meritorious process there, meritocratic process, whatever that word is. Hard to say what that word is in that use case. But anyway, at least you know that much about the people who are securing your coins for the ETF. Obviously, MicroStrategy uses them too, among other companies. And like you mentioned, a bunch of the ETFs. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's going to be the, I'm not sure if that's
like billions.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how lucrative that is, if that's going to be like a big chunk of the revenue moving forward. But
I don't know.
I'm surprised companies
do you know why it's a big chunk of their revenue? It's a big chunk of their revenue because the incentive model works, right? If they fail in their job securing the ETF or securing that Bitcoin, the price is going to get absolutely fucking clobbered over the short and medium term. So the incentive is there. When it comes to their bottom line, that's where it is. Now, the fees for holding it, I don't know. Who knows what they are? I think we had SB on not long ago talking about how the fees were negible compared to what they made on Bitcoin trading, right? So yeah, it's one thing to consider anyways. But yeah, I mean, you have an opportunity here, listener, viewer, to be, oh my goodness, I'm very gassy. This is my third coffee of the day. To be the person who secures your financial future. And you're not just doing it by preserving your wealth in Bitcoin, but you're doing it by securing your Bitcoin in a way that makes sense for you. There's many options, okay? They're all pretty good. You can do 12 words. I think you can do 16 or 18 words as well, or you can do 24 words. You can do passphrase. You can do multi-sig. You can do geographical splits. You can do jurisdictional splits. You can do, what does CoinKite have? That seed XOR thing. I'm pretty sure they have. You can like split a 24-word seed into two. You can use fake wallets. You can use fake addresses. You can do any number of things. We just talked about that Liana wallet the other day. You can time lock your Bitcoin. There's ways to make things secure for yourself. My advice remains the same as it's always been. Make it easy to deposit your Bitcoin. Make it nearly impossible to withdraw it, and ignore all the rest of the noise. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Withdrawals should be very, very difficult and take time. Deposits should be very easy and nearly instant to do. If you follow those two principles, you're good. You're good. Everything else is secondary after that.
Yeah. And I would also add one thing. Periodically, every few months or whatever time frame you think is best, go through the exercise of doing the extracting of your Bitcoin. So you could, just in case there's a process that's difficult, you just do the whole thing, and so you just don't forget how to do it. So periodically set up the process to start moving your Bitcoin off. So in case you do have to do it in a hurry, you could just basically muscle memory and just tap into that. And Boomdust is saying, did you see that the chart that was floating around about how many coins Coinbase holds and by who? I didn't see that.
I haven't either, but you can imagine what it looks like.
Well, who do you? I think the majority of and I'm assuming he's talking about the coins or Bitcoins, not the shit coins, because I don't really care about the other stuff. But the majority of the coins held, I suppose, it's going to be the ETFs / MicroStrategy. That's my guess, but I don't know.
He just sent it to us. I'll have a look at it here. I mean, the number of coins that are out there are probably unbelievable. Let's see. Oh yeah, I did see this. Okay, let's have a look here. This is interesting because it's presented in the context of get ready for the rug pull, which may or may not be true.
Is that they don't have enough Bitcoin to support,
or that it's going to be, or that all of this stuff can be rugged by one person at one time. So here's the chart for people who are on audio only. It is a chart from time chained FTX.com by a guy named @SannyEXP. So Coinbase has more than 1 million Bitcoin. Yeah, a lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff. Coinbase Prime, Wisdom Tree, 3IQ, Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, Valkyrie too. Wow. Valkyrie employed Josh Alshowitz for a time, and you telling me he didn't tell them how to fucking Arkin.
I'm just surprised MicroStrategy doesn't do it themselves, given the fact that they talk about it and they've been in this long enough. In a way, I'm kind of disappointed that they're using a third party to secure the Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So Coinbase actually has 2,275,000 Bitcoin under management, both for themselves and for these other clients. It's a lot. Even Bitfarms, Ben Gagnon, using these guys. Again, you may have talked about this. I know we disagree on it, but there's got to be just a legal requirement by the board and by the companies to use a company like this and to use a service that these guys are providing or something similar to do their custody. Because otherwise, you can't imagine that some of these companies would be like, no, I'm going to outsource the custody, the most important part of the whole Bitcoin thing, to someone else, unless they absolutely had to. I'd
love to see the rules. Like, if they buy gold, are they forced to hold it in the vault, or can they put it in the basement of their? I'm using that as the.
If they buy gold, but if they buy gold, the board can't hold it. It has to be with a custodian. The same way the board can't hold cash. The board's and institutions, like even at Wayside, our board is not allowed to hold cash on hand. But it has to be with someone else.
Can a company, theoretically, a large enough company that's publicly traded, buy gold, physical gold, and you shove it in the basement and say it's now in our balance sheet? They can't do that. Like, it's simply like just buying a car or anything else, right?
A car is not the same.
Another asset.
No, but it's not a balance sheet asset.
Like, cars are not balance, like vehicles are not balance sheet,
or treasury assets. I should say treasury assets. Everything's
okay. I'd love to see the requirement. I don't have all the.
I should know this because I'm the VP of the Wayside board, but I am pretty sure that that's the rule: is that cash or cash equivalents, which is your treasury assets, can't be held outside of a custodian because there's another layer to this. Auditors want to go through other institutions to verify holdings instead of going to the basement of your agency to count with the bars, right?
That's simple, Joey.
I know. Right. I'm just telling you, there's laws against it, is what I'm saying.
So this verification and Bitcoin verification.
Here's a question. Instead of Saylor getting on TV and going to conferences and posting $3 million price targets, why doesn't he fucking set up a custody service that works for boards? Why doesn't he do that? He claims to be a Bitcoin company guy, and yet he's doing everything but stuff that makes sense for companies holding Bitcoin or who want to hold Bitcoin.
Like, what's the fucking KYC shit? And
don't make me rewrite our terms of engagement here for the CBP board. We split the vote 50-50.
I agree.
He's going to start custodying our Bitcoin pretty soon.
Let's put it all on Coinbase. I like that. That's a good.
Let's roll the dice on 100x leverage and stream it.
I miss those days, man. Those are funny days.
Those were the best.
Anyways, another story from Jameson Lopp. We're getting long in this Bitcoin stuff, so we'll be kind of quick.
Sure.
It's a story that he posted about a 19-year-old in Singapore that was trying to buy Tether at a shopping mall over there in a parking lot. In fact, this is a person-to-person exchange. And I guess this guy wanted less exposure to Singapore dollar, which I don't know why anybody would want that.
Either way, currencies out there.
I think so. We're going to meme that into it. So either way, two men on the other side of the transaction decided to beat up this guy and try to rob him. So luckily he managed to escape. But a few questions come to mind. Like, aside from the fact, why is he's trying to buy USDC? USDT Tether. Like, why would he need that? I guess he's trying to shitcoin. But either way, it also raises a question for people that are using BISC and HODL and stuff like that, because these decentralized exchanges do offer some in-person exchanges, and there are people out there that are going to be taking advantage of this because some think that may be a good idea as a way to avoid KYC. But remember, it comes at the cost that you could potentially get mugged and rugged. So I suggest, if you are going to do that, make certain. Look to see if they have a very reputable selling agent. Like, if you look at HODL, you can see like their ratings, how well they are as a seller and shit like that. But even if you are going to do it in person, like, really be fucking careful if you go down that route. I would suggest, if you're trying to get KYC free, like, fuck, there's better options than this. But if you want to do this, thinking about also how the economy is today. At the beginning of the show, we were talking about people just trying to eat and they're getting berated by fucking homeless people just walking by with shopping carts. A lot of people are hurting, and I'm sure a lot of people are hurting, and they'll be happy to rob you. And so it's more just a call to action. Just don't do this kind of shit unless you really have to.
There are places where like no one is going to go outside their house pretty soon. Bitcoin buy milk, eggs, or otherwise. Like no one's just going to leave in certain parts of the city because it's just not worth it. The Hamilton Police Twitter account, this is not directly related to Lop's story, but has had a hell of a 36 hours. School lockdowns, people being sought for first-degree murder, shootouts in what were prime real estate type neighborhoods only 5 years ago. I can't imagine going to meet a guy who I don't know to buy peer-to-peer when Bitcoin's involved. That is the definition of fucking crazy, honestly. Like, these people will kill you for your Bitcoin. And, like MVK always says, start acting like your Bitcoin's worth 10 times what it is. If you think it's going to get there, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But that's a good way to operate, I think, when it comes to Bitcoin. It's part of the whole, make withdrawals very difficult. It's part of the whole OPSEC thing. It's part of the whole don't go to the parking lot with a guy you don't know. Where else would you do this? You wouldn't even go to meet a guy for Facebook Marketplace unless it was like either in a Starbucks or a police officer or a police station parking lot. Like anytime I buy or sell stuff, I always either go to downtown Dundas or to the cop shop. Those are the only places I'll go. Not because I can't defend myself, but because if I do have to defend myself, then I want someone backing me up ASAP, right? So you got to go to those places. Bitcoin is like just obviously not the thing to be doing peer-to-peer, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, do it if you're going to do it like at a merchant. Like if you're going to, for example, in El Salvador, and a merchant is accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And you could kind of think that, they're not going to rob me of my Bitcoin.
Yeah,
they're not going to drop me. So you're just trying to exchange and buy some McDonald's or whatever. So like and speaking of El Salvador, did you know that this past week was the 3rd anniversary that was passed that they accepted Bitcoin as currency as legal?
Where was that announced? Do you remember where that was announced?
It was at the Bitcoin conference, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. So it was 3 years ago this past week that they think the day after Labor Day that it became reality.
Yep.
And they now own over 5,000 Bitcoin, and they have that on their balance sheet, self-custodying it, by the way.
Awesome. No board of directors over there in El Salvador.
No, you just got Bukele and his team. And in terms of safety, you're saying that sooner or later we're not going to be able to go out to buy milk or groceries or anything. El Salvador is going the other direction. You could go, it seems like any time of day to go out and enjoy things. So things are going well over there. It's not strictly due to Bitcoin. It's a lot of other reasons, but things are trending in the right direction. And it's over 3 years that they started accepting Bitcoin. Very cool stuff.
That's a great story, man. There's a success story. I've eaten crow on that. Jaime Garcia, SB, you name it. The number of guests on this show who told me I was wrong when I was certain I was going to be correct about those bonds, especially. They got me. I got got on the election. I got on the bonds. It looks like I might get got on the volcano mining too here pretty soon. So
really, how is that? I haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't heard, but the naysayers have really calmed down. Like, the Twitter algo is so precise that if I look up Bitcoin mining stuff in El Salvador to try and find, firepower for the Monday show, it gives me all the negative stories about that mining operation. I haven't seen one in like 6 months. So presumably it's like underway or something. I don't know.
Who's that? Do you know that one guy that always talks?
Yeah, it's my NIM. It's my NIM. I'm running on the side.
No. There's somebody that Jaime is always having a conversation. At least
it's Gladstein. It's Gladstein.
That's it.
Yeah. He hates Gladstein.
Well, Gladstein paints a negative picture of Bukele.
Calls him a dictator. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I'm like, this is not Bitcoin related, but I am slowly coming around to the idea that democracy has failed and we need a society led by like high conviction, high competency people. Make of that what you will. Save your tomatoes. But I think
let's wrap this up, Joey. It's an hour in.
Sure, let's do it. Come on over to the next hour. Stay here if you're already on audio, video, live with us. And if you are on audio, video, podcast side, the other half of this will come out tomorrow. So until then, take care of yourselves.
Don't be a cock.